Good morning. I am so excited this morning to have Daniella Forrest here with us. I will have her do her introduction, but just a small introduction. She's a health coach and she's a functional diagnostic nutritional practitioner, a whole health educator from the National Institute of Whole Health, a certified personal trainer, corrective exercise specialist, and lots of qualification. And she's written a book on Own Your Wellness. So welcome, Daniela.
Thanks for having me. It is wonderful to be here and to be part of this Trevande community. I really wanted to use this opportunity, thank you, Tina, to talk to you about the strategies I employ with my clients on a regular basis, um, the exact things that I do, helping them to build out their wellness routines, and specifically for people over 55 who have a little bit more time to focus on their health and wellness and to be more intentional with what it is that we're doing. So yeah, I think if we're ready, I'll go ahead and get started. I also wanted just to say before I even start presenting here, happy to just sort of keep this fresh. And if anybody has questions, by all means, please get my attention. I would love to answer them as they pop up. So let me go ahead into screen share. Tina, I'm not sure I have the ability to share screen.
Yes, yes. Can you share it? You're the co-host.
Okay, I'm trying. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Okay. Okay, so first of all, this is all about helping you to just feel sharper and to not feel like you're spinning your wheels, making willy-nilly decisions about, how to exercise, how to eat, how to move better. So I'm here to help you fine tune these strategies. Here's what we're going to focus on learning today. We want to set meaningful health goals, right? So not just I want to fit better into my jeans, but what do I actually really want to accomplish with pushing my efforts in this direction? And how can I better not just diet, but nourish myself so that I have better strength and energy at this stage of life? And what are the things that you should be tracking to make sure that you're able to keep nudging yourself forward and reaching new benchmarks as you progress? And then lastly, we'll talk about what kind of supplementation you should be considering to um, help you support the process as you continue down this path. Okay, the most important thing is to define your goal. What are you actually working towards, and how will you find ways to make it specific to yourself, to make it measurable and aligned with what you're trying to accomplish in your life? So, an example might be I want to be able to walk 2 miles without any joint pain in the next 3 months. Or I want to be able to pick up my children and lift them overhead without my shoulders aching. Something very specific, but that will actually add to the quality of your life as you move forward. Having a specific goal in place will help you define how you're going to get there as things progress. So, as we start to move forward, I'd like you to ask yourself, what exactly am I working towards? Maybe take a note to the side here and let's keep that in mind as we move forward. And more importantly than what you're trying to get to is why you're trying to do that. What is an emotionally driven, important reason for you to accomplish this goal? Does getting into a smaller size jeans help you avoid diabetes, which means that you're more available for your family, you're healthy, they don't have to take care of you? Does getting into better cardiovascular shape allow you to go for longer walks with your spouse or take your dog out a couple times a day? So I want you to think about something that on the hard days when you really don't want to do the work uh, to show up and work towards that goal, there's going to be plenty of days like that. I encourage you, once you figure out the why behind your drive, to write it down somewhere, maybe post a picture somewhere, something that reminds you on a regular basis of what you're trying to accomplish and why you need to keep going. Um, for me, it's my family. Um, I I was diagnosed at 28 years old with osteoporosis, pretty severe osteoporosis. I had been on a snowboard trying to learn how to do it, and I had a very minor fall, like nothing that should have mattered. And I immediately felt something was really wrong. I had completely shattered my lower leg. It broke in so many places that they couldn't do surgery. And I was casted over the knee for many, many months. When I got a DEXA scan, which one of my colleagues suggested I do, I found out that my osteoporosis was worse than most 80-year-old women. So it was in that moment that I decided it was crucial for me to make some serious changes. The answers I got from doctors did not help me. So I did the research myself. And 20 years later, I am still working daily to try to make decisions that will help with that bone health. Why? Because of these two beautiful people right here, my husband and my daughter. I don't want them to have to take care of me as I get older. I don't want to be frail. I want to be able to play with them and to thrive. And yeah, so these are the guys that keep me going every day. But as emotional as I'm getting right now, that's how emotional you need to be about something that really is going to get you going on those days that you don't want to do the work. Okay, so how do we do it? How do we get to where we're trying to go? First of all, we need to focus on nourishment, not just diet. I think that I hate the word diet because we have to think about the things that we take into our bodies, taking into us, they should add to the quality of our lives. They should add towards helping us move towards these goals that we're trying to accomplish. And I always start with food first. With my clients, every single program I work with somebody, we start with what are you eating? How are you eating it? When are you eating it? And we start dialing that in before we talk about anything else. And it also needs to be something that is sustainable, but you also enjoy. You know, if you don't enjoy eating a low fat vegetarian lifestyle, then you can't keep it up. So yes, it might help your goals, but we have to find a way to adjust it so that it's sustainable and fun for you. Um, as we age, our appetites certainly change, not just what we eat, but also how much we eat. I spent this last week with my in-laws, and you know, they they really don't eat that much food anymore. So every single bite of food that you take in as we get older, yes, it should be yummy, but it should also add to your health and help you towards where you're trying to go. We also need sufficient food for our energy. It starts to flag maybe we're not sleeping enough. We want enough of these critical nutrients to help us to thrive. Digestion is another thing that starts to weaken as we start to get a little bit older. Once you're in your 40s and 50s, natural production of hydrochloric acid starts to go down. And that makes it harder for us to digest fatty foods, foods high in protein. And you find that maybe need to eat smaller portions, makes it harder to assimilate fat soluble vitamins and minerals. So we have to constantly be working on helping that digestion and to support ourselves as we make these adjustments to our diet. One of the simple things that you can do are digestive bitters. They've been around for a long time because they work. So, taking a little bit of an herbal tonic before meals can help. You can also do something like an apple cider vinegar shot, probiotics, whatever types of fermented foods that you enjoy and that work well for you, make sure that you're getting those in every day. A little bit of yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir. These are natural ways to boost your probiotics in your gut. The more positive probiotics we have, the healthier our microbiota, the easier it is for us to digest food and to assimilate those nutrients. And digestive enzymes. So, I do have a lot of clients who've got very compromised digestion. They feel like everything they eat just kind of sits in their gut. In that case, a little bit of digestive enzymes are a very helpful way. You take one pill with a meal to help you start rebuilding your digestive capacity. They're kind of like training wheels. They're not the kind of supplement you take for the rest of your life. But when your digestion is compromised, it's a good way to kind of get you back on track. And then after a while, you may find that you don't really need them anymore. And one thing I find myself repeating over and over again um, with my clients who are in middle age and up, but specifically with women, is eating enough protein. It is so crucial that we get a substantial amount of protein through our diet throughout the day. We need it for a functioning brain. We need it to keep and build muscle and bone. Uh, we need it for every process in our bodies and specifically for energy. So if you find that you're flagging, if you're losing muscle tone, if you're worried about your bone density, maybe your brain's not moving as quickly as it used to, it's a sign that we need to increase your protein intake. I encourage people to work up to about 30 grams per meal. Now, that's a little bit more challenging if you follow a vegetarian diet, but if you start to pay attention, start looking at your labels, get an eye for what about 30 grams looks like. If you eat animal protein like fish or chicken or steak, that's about 6 ounces, which is usually for most people about the size of their hand. It's a very simple way to consider that without even having to work too hard on tracking it. Um, I think this is an easier way to reach your protein goals than to reach for that 1 gram per pound of body weight, which, in a perfect world, if you're 150 pounds, you'd be eating 150 grams of protein. That's a lot for a lot of people to reach. So this way, if you're eating 2 or 3 times a day, at least you're getting a substantial amount to help support your bones, your muscle, and your brain. I I came up with this rule a couple months ago, and I think it's just such a simple way to structure our diet. And again, you can adjust this depending on what your specific goals are. But the rule of 30 is just a simple framework. 30 grams of protein per meal. This will help you maintain muscle mass, keep those bones strong, and it will also help you stabilize your blood sugar because it will burn a little bit more steady. 30 grams of fiber in a day, total in a day. This will help you stay regular, which is crucial for detoxification. It will help enhance your gut health so that you're able to digest those foods like we talked about. And it will keep you full longer, which in turn also will help you stabilize your blood sugar. So we're not getting these spikes every time we eat. And I encourage people to aim for 30 different types of plants. Now, this can include fresh herbs and spices. You could get probably 7 or 8 different ones just in one bowl of salad, right? So throughout the week, when you go to farmer's market, even see how many colors you can pick out and put into your cart of produce. This will help you get different nutrients out of different foods. That maybe, when we kind of get in these food ruts, we're eating the same thing all the time. Getting that variety can help tremendously. And then we also don't get bored, right? We're cooking what's in season, we're enjoying new flavors. It's just kind of a nice way to keep your diet fresh. My diet. So I've tried everything. I was vegetarian in college, bordering on vegan. That didn't work really well for my brain. Then about 15 years ago, I played around with paleo, and that morphed into keto. And then I did some intermittent fasting. Just this last winter, I went carnivore for 4.5 months, which I loved personally, but turns out my immune system didn't love it so much. So I'm always working on different ways that I can adjust my diet so that I can optimize my nutrition, but also optimize my bone health. And, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Okay, so first we talked about nourishing you. Now we're talking about how we're going to move. Movement, again, I like this word way better than just exercise because we all have to move. Like we're all humans. Even if you're in a wheelchair, we have to move every day. It helps bring nutrition to our joints. So finding different movement practices that support your goal, but also that you enjoy, that make you smile, that you look forward to. Um, and as we get older, keeping in mind that we want to work on balance and posture and strength. In fact, they all go together, right? So if you think of, kind of a stereotypical old person in your head, you picture somebody who's shuffling and they're stooped over. We don't want that, right? We want to stand up tall. We want to be able to walk independently. We want to be strong and be independent as we continue to age. I was a personal trainer for well over 20 years. And the one thing I say consistently to my clients is we want to train in the posture we aspire to. If you're doing a row and your position is here, you're going to get stronger in this bent over position. We always want to train in the posture that we're aiming towards. And that means also focusing on the muscles that support that movement. So your back, the back of your shoulders, all the way down your back into your glutes, the back of your legs, your hamstrings, all of that together will help you stay upright so that we're not ending up face towards our stoop. And we really want to avoid muscle loss as we get older. The amount of work I have to put in at 48 versus 28 to try to lay down muscle is light years. It's so much more. It's so crucial to me to feel strong, to be able to do the things that I really enjoy. I went water skiing last week, and for the first time this season, I couldn't believe how strong I felt on the water. So it's not just to build muscle, it's to actually be more functional human and to do fun things. Sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle, starts to become more of an issue every decade that we get older. So we have to be more and more focused on building muscle and not letting it wane. So I suggest people try to lift heavy things using multiple muscle groups, multiple joints, at least 2 to 3 times a week. If this is something that you're uncomfortable doing, you can start with just body weight exercises. Maybe at your local gym, you could join a class and learn a little bit about proper form. But I encourage you to start somewhere. Start that movement process, build it into your week at least twice a week, maybe more if your goal is specific to putting on muscle. This will not only help you maintain your strength, posture, and independence, but it will help boost your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more energy you're going to have, bar none. And balance, again, so crucial. I don't know about you, but I want to avoid shuffling for the rest of my life. But even if you feel like your balance is already flagging, there's so much you can do to regain it. I used to work with a 92-year-old woman. She was about 4'10". She was the cutest thing. And she was terrified of falling. So because of that, she kind of avoided lifting her feet up off the ground. We would spend 40 minutes out of her hour practicing different balance exercises. And it made a huge difference in her quality of life. It's never too late. You can always rebuild it. So we want to focus as we're lifting weights and doing all these things. We want to focus on our stability, our confidence. As we start to get stronger, you will find the confidence starts to increase. And please don't get stuck on the cardio. I know we all know how important cardio is. We got to keep our heart strong. We got to keep our energy up. We need that vitamin D, getting a little sunshine. It's fabulous. But overdoing it is where I find a lot of people get in trouble, especially in midlife, as the fat starts to be deposited a little bit more than we used to. Like we're doing the same things, we're eating the same way, and yet the weight's kind of creeping up on us. A lot of people start doing a lot more cardio. The problem with that is then goes from being a positive stressor, something that changes your body and pushes you, to a chronic stressor, which will in turn increase cortisol chronically all the time, right? So if you're already a stress case at work or with family or whatever, and then you're doing an hour of cardio every day, your body takes that on as another stress. As cortisol starts to go up, so does our blood sugar, and so does belly fat. So, yes, keep cardio in the mix, maybe a couple times a week. Just be careful not to overdo it. So, where do you start? Where do you start when it comes to movement? I encourage you to just start by auditing what you're currently doing in a week, like Monday through Sunday. How many times a week am I doing cardio? How many times a week am I walking? How many times a week am I lifting weights or doing some sort of strength training of some sort? And then keeping in mind your goal, what adjustments do I need to make to this weekly plan so that I'm inching towards where I'm trying to get? And then keep a journal, log somewhere. I like to keep a spreadsheet actually, how many times a week I got my weight training in, how many times a week I hit my tennis, because I have very specific goals I'm trying to hit there. And I want to know that I didn't, you know, drop the ball. Sometimes if I don't keep track, I just forget, So I also put my workouts into my schedule. When I sign up for a boot camp, I put it into my Google Calendar so that I don't plan anything around that. I'm ready to go. My workouts also evolve, just like my diet. I've been everywhere. This is a picture of me at about 26 years old in my first and only figure competition. Because I'm so tiny, my trainer at the time had me doing zero cardio for 6 months and lifting weights twice a day and eating about 3,000 calories a day. And I put on like 11 pounds of muscle. It was so hard. And I came in last, like dead last. So clearly that wasn't the one for me, but I will try anything. Now I'm do much more functional movement. I hired a trainer myself and he pushes me to lift things very heavy, but I know that I've got him as a safety net and I'm constantly working on building my bones and my muscle. And I also play tennis a couple times a week. Not necessarily because it's great for my heart or anything like that, but honestly, I just have a ball. I have made great friends doing it, and it's nice to get outside a couple times a week. It's really good for my mind. So, okay, so we talked about nourishment, we talked about movement, and now we're going to explore different things that you can track. Testing could be, your Apple Watch, whatever it is. What can you track? What can you self quantify to help you know that you're on the right path towards reaching your goals? I live in the Silicon Valley, like most of you, and people have all the devices here, right? Like there are all the early adopters on the cool stuff. But you know what? What are you going to do with the information? So it might be helpful just to think about like one or two things that are helpful for you to help inform your decisions as you continue to move forward. Uh, Maybe it's as simple as measuring your waist. This costs next to nothing, right? Once a week, take a look right at your belly button and see if you've made any progress. Is the food I'm eating and the exercise I'm doing supporting me in the right direction? If blood pressure is an issue, find the time of day that you're going to measure it, in the same spot, in the same mood every morning, etc. If you're struggling with your sleep, maybe you get something like an Aura ring or even wear your watch to bed, something that will help you track like how many hours of sleep I got, the quality of sleep. Body fat percentage. There's lots of scales out there now, smart scales that will give you your approximate body fat percentage. They're not super expensive, so that might be a way to keep track of it. Or maybe it's a strength goal. Maybe you want to be able to do like 10 pull ups or 10 push ups on the counter or whatever it is. Make sure that you're, again, tracking, find a way to track it that works for you. We're not looking for perfection here, right? We're just looking for sustained, consistent progress. Whatever you're using, just stay consistent with that thing. Now, if you find after a while, let's say you're logging your food into an app like Chronometer or something. It might get a little tedious, but at the beginning, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to build new habits. So as maybe you're trying to get those 30 grams of protein in for every meal. So you're starting to log that. That can get old pretty quickly. But the real magic was just learning what does 30 grams of protein look like in each meal. Once the tracking isn't necessarily serving you or informing your decisions, then you can stop or you can pick something new. But I do encourage you to find at least one thing that will help you stay on point as you move forward. I don't know where my picture went there, but anyways, what I track, I had a picture of a DEXA scan there. There's a great company that has locations all over the Bay Area called Body Spec. And I go a couple times a year because it will tell me not just my body fat, but it will tell me what my bone density is doing, at least give me a good approximation. It also tells me where I'm distributing fat and muscle throughout my body, so that I know, where I can need to focus my efforts a little bit more. Again, always working towards my underlying goal of building bone density. Okay, last, not least, but last is enhancing your process, right? So always food first, but in all honesty, sometimes that's just not enough to cover our bases when it comes to a full nutritional profile. Okay. So, for me, with bone density, I'm keeping in mind all of the minerals and vitamins that I need in the right combinations to help support that. And I can't always get that from my diet. So, really, what we're trying to do here is just sort of fill in the gaps. Now, this is even more important as we get older because we talked about digestion being a little bit compromised. And if you're not able to fully digest and assimilate the nutrients from your food, then yes, it might be time to consider some additional supplementation. The other thing is, even my 14-year-old daughter is on certain supplements, things to help enhance her journey and her goals, but also because our food is not as nutrient dense as it was when I was a kid. And you take depleted minerals in the soil, plus some compromised digestion, plus maybe you're not eating as much as you used to. And then, you know what? We need a little bit of a boost. So I would suggest that as you consider supplementation to take, maybe think about what you're taking in a day. Maybe you journal for a day or two and consider what kind of foods you're getting. Are you meeting that protein and fiber goal? Are you getting your 30 different plants in every week? And then consider where we could fill in some gaps. In general, these are 3 supplements I recommend to pretty much everybody, not just people over 55. Magnesium, very much depleted in our soils. We need magnesium, like vitamin D, for every single process in our bodies. Magnesium is important for everything. And there's different types of magnesium. Some will help you if you have constipation. Some help with calming muscle tone, calming the mind. There's different types depending on what your goals are. But I find that it's something that almost everybody benefits from a little bit. Vitamin K2. This is not talked about enough. Now, I'm not talking about vitamin K1, which your doctor will tell you will interfere with blood thinners and things like that. This is vitamin K2. I wish it had a different name because it's not really the same compound. Vitamin K2 is like a traffic cop for calcium. It makes sure that calcium is not being deposited in our arteries or our joints or our kidneys. Vitamin K2 makes sure that that calcium is going to bones, teeth, where it's supposed to be. So if you are on any kind of calcium supplementation, and even if you're not, highly recommend that you consider a vitamin K2 in addition to help make sure that that calcium is ending up where you want it to be. And then vitamin D. Most people are quite deficient in vitamin D. Again, we need it for pretty much every enzymatic process in our bodies. It will help boost your energy. I find that taking it at night helps enhance sleep quality quite a bit for myself and my clients. And of course, we need it for bone health. It's crucial. These are three that I do recommend often, but are not, essential. Collagen. Obviously, collagen as we get older starts to decrease. We all see it every day in the mirror. So I suggest about 15 to 20 milligrams or sorry, grams of collagen every day. I just take it in the morning along with some of my other supplements. It has made a huge difference in the quality of my skin, my hair, my nails. And a lot of people don't realize this, but collagen helps with gut health quite a bit. It helps to heal and seal the gut lining. So it can be very helpful if we're dealing with any digestive issues. Creatine. Again, this is something I don't think is talked about enough. It's finally starting to get a little bit of media attention, but it's one of the most studied supplements ever, 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 ever. If you go into PubMed and search up creatine, you will find thousands upon thousands of studies. It helps to build and maintain muscle mass, bone mass, and at higher doses can actually help with cognition. I've slowly ramped up to about 10 grams a day, but most people take about 5. And I can't tell you what a game changer it is. I recently put my mother, who's turning 70 this year, on it, and she's just blown away at how much better she feels. Essential amino acids. This is another thing that is sort of flying under the radar. For those of us who are struggling to get enough protein in every day, this is a non caloric way to get those 9 essential amino acids that we need to build and maintain muscle without getting full. So, for my vegetarian clients and vegan clients, this is a brilliant way for them to sneak in those amino acids, get their protein requirements without having to eat so much actual protein. It also can help with stabilizing blood sugar. Some of my clients who wake up in the middle of the night or 2 or 3 in the morning, sweating and mind spinning, I'll have them take some of this right before they go to bed, and it helps them to stay steady so that they can get a better night's sleep. And it can also help boost cognition. Why? Because we need those amino acids to help create neurotransmitters, which is how our brain works. What is in my supplement cabinet? A lot, to be totally frank with you, not just these, but they're constantly, being reevaluated. I spelled that wrong. Essential amino acids, creatine, omega 3s. I didn't really talk about that earlier, but that's another one I could have put into the essential stack. It is helpful for gut health, brain health, helps to keep inflammation down. Please, please, please do not ever buy fish oil of any type at Costco or a big box store. Make sure that it is refrigerated. Make sure that it is a high quality supplement. Vitamin K2, I take a very high dose of that to make sure I'm getting the right deposition of minerals in my bones. And I take desiccated liver because I'm working on liver health at the moment, something that I'm paying attention to. Okay, we've come a long way. We've talked about what we're trying to do, why we're trying to get there, and then we talked about strategies to start employing as we go through. So first, we're going to set a very specific and measurable goal. Then we're going to know why. And again, find something, some way to remind yourself on a daily basis, something that you see on, like, maybe it's in a drawer, maybe it's in a cabinet that you open every day, something that reminds you, this is why I'm doing this. Then we're going to start dialing in the nourishment. How am I going to feed myself to help me reach my goals? And then we want to make sure that we're moving with purpose, that we have a good plan throughout the week to make sure that our efforts are always pushing us towards where we're trying to get. And then we're going to explore data points. How are we going to track this journey? How do we know how far we've come if we haven't written down where we started? And lastly, we want to enhance the process intelligently, just filling in those gaps where we need. I encourage you to keep going. Get started, but keep going. I would like to offer everybody who's here a complimentary discovery call with me. If you just want to talk about your health journey, if you need a little bit of assistance on dialing in some of the things that we talked about, if you go to my website at dfitleft.com, you can also scan this QR code. At the very top, you'll see a link to go ahead and schedule that discovery call. Everything we talked about today is basically the blueprint that I created within the book, Own Your Wellness. In there, I go into great depth on different strategies for different issues. I have lots of charts and graphs for you to fill out. It's a very interactive book. And if you'd like to grab a copy of that, you can do so with a 50% off coupon, just using the code Trovande. So again, if you scan the QR code, go to my website, click on the book, and then you can go ahead and use that coupon code for a half price. And I'll ship it to you for free.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Daniela. Thank you for the
Thank you.
50% off. The book is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Any
questions,
questions? Does
everyone?
anybody have any questions? I no longer eat a lot of things that I ate when I was younger. Yeah, well, maybe that's a good thing. Some of those things you shouldn't eat anymore. Um, yeah, I think a lot of us have a decreased appetite, right? So maybe we're finding different things that work for us at different stages. Anybody else have questions? Cindy. How do I balance high cholesterol with K1? Um, mm. So K1 generally helps with circulation, blood flow. So I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Hey, that's true.
Johnson.
I understand their question because when I saw the K1 list and then I kind of looked it up, it says egg yolks and meat product has K1. So,
Okay.
but that also
Are we,
causes high
well, so,
cholesterol.
but
I'm
in the
assuming.
presentation, we were talking about K2. We're talking about K2 or
K2.
K1?
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe not.
K2. Yeah. So K2, you can get K2 from food. But honestly, now, thank you, Tina. Now I understand much better. When I have to supplement with it, and I eat like 4 egg yolks a day.
Mm.
So, it's still not enough for bone health. It's really highly concentrated in things that don't help you with your cholesterol. That said, that's a whole other conversation, whether like dietary cholesterol impacts serum cholesterol and how that goes. I'm happy to chat with you separately about that. But an interesting side note here, when I did the carnivore diet for 4.5 months this winter, and I have a family history of high cholesterol, really high cholesterol. Um, I my total cholesterol dropped so low that it was problematic for my immune system. Like my total cholesterol was 136. So, there's a lot of conversation there. It's something we can take into consideration, but that's one of the reasons that I have people supplement with K2 instead of just aiming for food sources. Anybody else? I saw a hand raised and then it sort of disappeared. Then
Thank you. Wow. I've got a whole page of notes here. For the digestive bitters, where do you get those?
you can get them at any health food store.
Oh,
It's just like a
okay.
tonic. Yeah. Yeah. You'll see it'll be next to probiotics and stuff. And they're just like little drops. But that's also why I suggested the apple cider vinegar works in a very
Oh
similar
yeah,
way. A
right.
small shot of that
Yeah.
right before a meal can actually help. In it, what it does is it enhances your natural digestive juices, right? That whether it's an enzyme, a bitter, or apple cider vinegar, or whatever you're doing, we're just trying to enhance the body's natural ability to assimilate these foods.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Well, it's been so wonderful to talk to such amazing people. Um, Tina, what a great community you have here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing all your insights. And everybody get the book. Okay, Own Your Wellness After
Yes,
55.
please. And I'm happy to answer like if you have a question that you don't really want to blast to everybody in the room here, please reach out to me. Book that discovery call. There's no obligation. I'm just happy to chat.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Daniela. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.